Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over, well, on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Talk El Paso. But let's just say we have some things being accelerated because, well, as you may have been paying attention to yesterday and some of our conversation, we have situations that arose that accelerated some of our plans. So we went ahead and moved right up with them. So we are now multi-platform, as has been long hinted at. We are now going to be both on the Facebook page and the many Facebook pages we are. We're also now going to be on YouTube at the Talk El Paso channel. We're also now doing a Twitch, because apparently that's where a lot of stuff is happening now. So trying that out as well. That is Andrew J. Polk on Twitch. Also on Twitter, both at Andrew J. Polk and Talk El Paso. So we are going many places, as we have Leroy Chuck tuning in with us right now as well. So that's one of the exciting things going on. And just to get out of the way right now, there was some issues going off their signal earlier today, including some tower maintenance. Sometimes stuff needs to be fixed, and sometimes the fixing doesn't happen according to an ideal schedule, is the best I can say right now. I'm not the one actually up on the tower, but I know we had some concerned callers who were very nice and very courteous in how they reached out asking what's going on. In those situations, this is the only one I'm aware of that's going to possibly need to be done. But I mean, mechanical stuff, sometimes percussive maintenance only goes so far. So the way that'll be happening is, if it is, you can always find us on the iHeartRadio app and streaming at ktsmradio.com. So that's the best we got for the short-term interruptions we may be experiencing. Otherwise, we do have we have some again, Leroy Chuck tuning in saying he does not quite like the change here, but I mean, the streaming is, we're working on it. We'll see if it gets better. It's not quite as high res, but it's yeah, the Facebook whistleblower I'm also bringing up, it's a major one. That's definitely something we'll be talking about here today. Got some of that audio from the hearings going on today. But let's talk about a local meeting right off the bat here. That of last night's El Paso Independent School District Board meeting, and specifically them eventually voting to 5-2 to end their mask mandate in schools, the last local school districts that still had something in place after this is the whole complicated road situation again of the difference between what was going on between the state orders, between local orders, and the court orders against those orders, and the injunctions against those orders. And just I am not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV, but it's a little bit hard to track for most of the time now, isn't it? So it is now not in place for any of our local schools. But the reason I say eventually, that it eventually happened, is because it was not a simple road to get there. The vote did come out 5-2 to end it based on those orders, the luck, and the ending of the local mandates and orders from the health authorities. But, well, there was definitely a kerfuffle once again in the room there because of people, well, let's just say expressing themselves in what we might call civil disobedience. Someone did get arrested and removed from there for refusing to wear a mask ahead of the vote. It does seem a little paradoxical that they were arrested for something that then organization ended up removing. So we'll see how that at last gasp, according to our news partners over at the KFOX 14 and CBS 4, they are saying that this person was removed. A spokesperson for the district says that person was arrested and is being charged with disrupting a public meeting, which is a Class B misdemeanor. So, okay, maybe that will be in place still, since disruption, sure, but given the nature of disruption, I don't know. Who knows? But so the sum total of the action there is that, yes, there is no longer that mask mandate in place there. So trustees voting in favor of the removal will Velarde, Call, Hernandez, Robaldi, and Calael, and then no votes Acevedo and Hanani. So those are, again, we had most of them, I think all of them. Yeah, we've had them on the show previously. So as a reminder, you can go and find all of the recordings, including the interviews with those candidates over on the main Facebook page, facebook.com/TalkElPaso. But at the same time, we are looking at and have done the multi-platforming, as we have Leroy Chuck, Michael Perez, and John Brazelton joining us over on the Facebook page right now. And one other slightly neat thing is we can then put them up on screen there, some of the comments in a different format that goes out across all the formats. So even though we're going to be on many platforms, we can still pay attention to the comments and more from all of the platforms. So that's kind of what I was hinting at there, as you see the comment from John Brazelton. It's about time all of our school districts have decided to follow federal law. Federal isn't exactly the crux here. I mean, I'm sure there's some interplay there that I might not have considered, but I think the major issues at hand here are going to be between the state and the local. So that's, at least, at the very least, that's what this decision was kind of predicated upon, based on both what spokespersons have said and what the individual trustees said themselves here. So, and one important thing that has been noted, including by teachers' unions in the area, that doesn't prohibit students from wearing a mask when going to school, but does not then require them, or is able to require. So kind of language coming down to still strongly encouraged, I'm sure, is how it's going to be going forward there. So, I mean, I can kind of get the idea of there being the kerfuffle over this. But, I mean, personal choice and personal accountability are kind of king in my mind. So, even though peer pressure also happens in school, I'm not sure I have a kid in a school at this point, to be perfectly honest, given all the issues going on with it. So that's one of the major issues going on here. And again, so we're going to be talking about that and much more, as again, we are looking at being in many more platforms now based on the events of yesterday with some of these streaming bits of fun here. So we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on Twitter, we are on Twitch, and potentially more to come into the future here, as if this works out well. This is kind of a test run, an accelerated test run. So bear with us if you are joining us on any of those platforms, and let us know what you think and how it's working for you. So coming up on the need for a break here right now, coming back from the break, we'll be getting into more about what some of you all have been mentioning in the comments about whistleblowers and such that we'll be getting into here, because, well, it just bears discussion about even the basic nature of social media after a lot of people were forced out into the cold yesterday, including those that tuned in to us on there. But I do want to, again, reiterate that we have not forgotten our on-air listeners. We value you greatly. You're the backbone of the show and our audience, and we will still be taking calls, as we usually do, a little bit later in the program, as per the usual, even if we've had some technical things going on. And as always, you can find us on air, online, and live streaming, both through ktsmradio.com and the iHeartRadio app. So, gotta go ahead. We'll take that break, and coming back from the break, we got some of those sound bites and more coming out of those hearings going on right now today. In fact, I think they've ended for now, but not too long before this show here. So, getting into that and more after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Also streaming, a lot of places. Talk more about that after the break. Whatever you got going on online or in real life, IRL, it's called, you got to stay focused, you got to stay calm, and you got to stay collected to be able to do it. So something I do in preparation, frankly, for this show is Clever Tea, KLEVRT, Clever Tea, TEA, is something with their Oolong Wise blend that I find myself reaching for whenever, you need that little pick-me-up at the end of the day, because it's got just the right amount of caffeine that doesn't leave you wired like some of your very chemically tasting energy drinks, which I've also been known to do, but have now trying to get away from a variety of reasons. And the benefits, of course, that come with doing tea locally produced, which that I'm all about. And the benefits that come with it, I mean, there's a lot of them, and a lot of good things that come from trying to be maybe a little bit more natural, maybe a little less processed in it. And tea, I think that it's something more people should be doing. I'll just be perfectly honest. And so their blend is available in boxes and bottles in and around town. You can find it in a lot of different places, including the Brown Street Market, CBD Vita, Upper Valley Mercantile, Muscle Confusion, Gym, and House of Hoops, and Cooking Time. And again, you can make it yourself or the pre-made in the bottles. That's what I like, with just the right amount of sweetness from monk fruit, helping keep you on track for whatever your goals are doing. So find them again, those stores, or online at cleverT.com, KLEVRT.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Watch out for some heavy traffic on the Loop 375 northbound between Pan American and North Loop Drive. Also, the roadway is reduced to one lane on Mesa Street northbound between Festival and Shadow Mountain Drive. And look out for a medical emergency that could cause delays on Joe Bada Boulevard northbound at Montwood. You could try using George Dieter and Pebble Hills Boulevard to get by. I'm Marie Jourdain, and that's traffic.
This report is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m., it's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Hey folks, this is Andrew J. Polk. These days, it's important to know where to go to get quality medical care and services when you need it. The go-to for my family is Dr. Alan Carpenter and his team at Upper Valley Urgent Care Center for any minor medical emergency. Equipped with 20 exam rooms and the tech to go with it, they're ready to handle colds and testing all the way to x-rays. Open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., fast and friendly with no appointment needed at 121 East Red Road. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this fall, Upper Valley Urgent Care Center.
Newt Gingrich here. Can thieves really steal your home's title? Take it from this thief who stole over 150 homes and was sentenced to 25 years in prison. This is why you need Home Title Lock.
Nobody thinks that I can take their house and borrow against the house. No, I have title insurance for that. No, it's in my name, or he would have to get some special document. They would call me. Nobody's calling you. After I've stolen the title, borrowed against it, or sold the property, or done whatever I've done with it, it's 60 to 90 days to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. By that point, you start getting foreclosure notices, and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house. Not only that, you don't even own your home anymore. It's not even in your name.
Heard enough? Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim, and enter Newt for 30 free days of protection. That's code NEWT at HometitleLock.com.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Stay informed at ktsmradio.com. News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
One of our new shows that you may not have heard about, but you definitely should be tuning in for, is that of Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandeep Rao. Saturdays at noon, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Given all the concerns that have happened over this past year, being in charge and aware and just paying attention to the issues affecting your health, both personally and the technologies and all that stuff, is more important than ever. So he helps keep you stay on top of those medical innovations, as well as, knowing what's out there and what's available, and even the questions you should ask, helping you navigate our complex medical system is something he does. One also talking about commentary, and he also does take questions. You got to pre-submit them to emailing rao@medicalhackers.com. That's rao@medicalhackers.com. And be sure to tune in this Saturday at noon here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of stuff we're talking about here today, both some of the local actions and activities going on in certain school district rooms. I know there was a call for people to go out and actually participate in those since it was in person. I just got to wonder if the kerfuffle that happened ahead of it was then useful to the vote, because honestly, I think it went that person's way. I'm not going to, again, fault anyone for enthusiasm and interest in being participating in the system and in these publicly elected systems that we have control of. But at the same time, maybe check it. a little bit. Because, I mean, honestly, I'm assuming fully that this person, what their point was then the vote went in favor of it. So I got to wonder how they feel about it now. But other things we're talking about here today, probably going to be mentioning redistricting a bit more. We're not able to connect with some of our elected officials due to extended sessions going on today, including about these issues, but getting targeting that for a little bit later in the week as well. But given the timeliness of it, figured it would be a good time to delve into something that we've kind of been hinting at for a while. Both there's been some national stuff going on, and now we have that whistleblower that happened to, again, there's a little bit of a suspicion going on about the timing of that outage yesterday. And so just kind of as a show announcement, based on that, this is something we've been hinting at for a while now, but had been trying to make sure work through and ended up kind of jump-starting it yesterday. We are now on those multiple online platforms on social media, kind of a necessary evil is the best way I can think about it, because we like the interaction with the audience and the things going on there. I mean, the show and the interaction is kind of conjoined at the hip, twins there, because it's how it works. It's one of the better ways we've got the interaction with the audience. So we are both on Facebook, but we're also doing YouTube, the Talk El Paso channel, Twitch, Andrew J. Polk, the page there, and then also on Twitter at Talk El Paso and at Andrew J. Polk is what we are doing there to just be more places, be less reliant on one platform, and less impacted by the maybe, shall we say, arbitrary or maybe not so arbitrary decisions that are made by certain things. You may have referenced in the past those Wall Street Journal articles that have been going by over the past week or two about some of the internal research that has been done, particularly by the social media giant Facebook, about, well, the issues that they are investigating but don't really want anyone to know about. And of course, now that whistleblower who provided some of the documentation has come forth, as we have some people discussing over in the comments there, primarily over on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, where, I mean, let's just say we've had our issues with it in the past. No specific things that we have been said we can or cannot do, thankfully, which I'd have my own issues with, but just the policies and the almost seemingly randomness of it, well, shedding a little bit of light on it, that it's maybe not as quite as random as it was seem. Again, the whistleblower, Francis Haugen, specifically is talking with Florida Senator Republican Rick Scott about some of these issues going on, and really about how some of the data is being used, particularly when it comes to kids, where it starts getting a little bit disturbing for me.
First off, do you think there should be greater consideration for age when it comes to using any social media?
I strongly encourage raising age limits to 16 or 18 years old based on looking at the data around problematic use or addiction on the platform.
Problematic is right. Basically, some of those Wall Street Journal articles coming out where you could just rename the name of the site to mental health disaster because of the impact it's having on kids. And something that's kind of happened in the background, fallen a little bit out of the main light here, is that Facebook has quietly nixed its idea of doing essentially Instagram or Facebook, however they're going to brand it, for kids, because at least the way they were talking about it was the idea of, well, kids that are below our required age of 13 currently are still using the platform, just lying about their age, so we want to give them a specific space. And here we had one comment come in about that people don't want this dealt with. Specifically John Browson saying liberals and progressive don't care about the issue. They just want power over your life. I think you're talking more about the mask issue, but as it applies to this, I think that's, if you are referring to this, particularly the social media situation, a little bit of a misnomer, because I think a lot of people were ticked off at that idea. You're doing what with our kids? It's literally in many ways illegal to track, target advertising towards children. That's why, young kids aren't the ones actually buying the toys. To date myself, remember the whole Tickle Me Elmo kerfuffle and literal fights that happened back when I was not in that purchasing category at that point anymore, but old enough to realize and see what the heck was going on in the news, because that's what they say, hey kids, ask your parents, and the parents make the purchasing decisions and such that. But the idea of actually tracking them, because of course that's the implicit idea behind social media, isn't it? I mean, you get it free use of it, all that good and fun stuff, and then they're tracking literally every interaction you have. Literally, there's a dollar amount that can be assigned to most specific actions and things you do on most social media sites. And this isn't exactly a secret. They may not talk about it that much, but it's not exactly a secret. I mean, that's how, well, Facebook, as the, whistleblower went on to say, talking about making $40 billion a year in in the wake of this.
You think Facebook and other social media platforms ought to be required to report any harmful effects they have on young people?
I strongly support the idea that Facebook should have a year, maybe 18 months to have private research. They shouldn't be allowed to keep secrets when people's lives are on the line.
And that's what it really comes down to. So I mean, they're a large part of everyday life, frankly. I mean, the example of yesterday, even as some, shall we say, theories out there about what exactly happened and how it went about with that timing there. John Hurt's making a reference to that as well, in particular, it's right for speculation, even though some of the stories coming out about them not even be able to enter their own servers because the key cards for those servers were tied to those servers, which is just whoever was their data infrastructure guy. I hope he'll be sweating real hard today and hoping that no one realizes how he screwed up in making that, because yeah, it's like having the lock controlled inside the room that the lock is in, and the lock doesn't work if the lock system inside that locked room isn't working. Right? Bad idea. Horrible idea. But I digress. The idea of them wiping stuff and dealing with it, I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily not fit the pattern, but I mean, there also was at least a $7 billion loss in valuation out of that yesterday. So not a great time going on for the social media giant, of course. But they're still raking in plenty of money. I remember seeing The Social Network in theaters, and no, it's not cool. $1 million. What's cool? $1 billion. And well, they're there.
If they make $40 billion a year, they have the resources to solve these problems. They're choosing not to solve them.
Yeah. Didn't that surprise you? They wouldn't put more effort into this?
I know.
Because you know it's going to catch up with them eventually, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Again, that Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott speaking with that former Facebook employee, Francis Haugen. I wonder if talking about all of this is going to lead to us being mildly nuked on the platform. But that's, again, while we're being multi-platforming now, because there are no strikes as of today as we have people tuning in. But we'll see how it goes down the road here. Your comment saying something both yes and no. I'm not saying that you everything you're on. I mean, everything you do online these days. If you think anything is secret, or think the little safe search or secret search is actually doing anything, I have some real bad news for you. No judgment, but bad news regardless. And at the same time, yeah, I don't necessarily know if anyone's actually tracking everything you're doing outside of those organizations, but it's certainly built into it and possible with it. So what's the takeaway here? What does this end up meaning? That there have been a lot of very impactful things. It kind of goes back to our whole free speech discussion now, doesn't it? On the idea that, no, these are not technically government actors, and therefore censorship doesn't really apply here. But at the same damn time, it is absolutely, I mean, we're talking about dollar amounts at the very least, bigger than some countries, and users bigger than a lot of other countries. So saying that, well, they're not technically a government, they have impact more than some governments. And then I had to both laugh and then slightly cry a little bit. Bloomberg, I don't usually talk about opinion articles, but this came up to my notice in the middle of this. Bloomberg opinion: give Amazon and Facebook a seat at the United Nations. Oh, there's so many words I want to say about that I absolutely can't on the radio, because what the hell? That came out before yesterday, and not a great example or timing on that. And then can you say dystopian future? Like, ugh. There's a lot more that I could say on this, but we're due for a break here right now, and we will be now opening up those phone lines as we usually do at this point during the show. So if you want to call in during the show, that number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. I mean, there's a lot more to break down here and a lot more comments we can get to as well, as we have a lot of people over on the Facebook page. Get into all that and more after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Speaking about taking care of yourself and the important issues in your life, losing track of your health care is definitely not a great idea. It hasn't never been a good one, but particularly over this last year, with all the concerns that have come up, knowing who to go to, who to trust, and who has the resources and availability for when you need it, more important than ever. Just flat out, easily. That's not even a controversial statement. And so one of the resources that me and my family, we go to is Upper Valley Urgent Care because, again, they've got the resources, availability, technology for covering those minor medical emergencies, your aches, your sprains, your breaks, your pains, your bruises and sniffles and more. They both have flu shots available on a walk-in basis, rapid testing as well, and you don't need an appointment for anything else either. They're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through not even just through Friday, but the whole 7 days a week, which is really when you need it to be there. So they do that nights, weekends, and even holidays. So again, you can find them at 121 East Red Road, just west of I-10 on Red Road there. So pretty easy to get to from wherever side of town you're on. And I know people who choose it for those, again, minor medical emergencies, for everything up to including x-ray capabilities. So be sure to find them celebrating the 15th anniversary this fall, Upper Valley Urgent Care.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
With your CBS 4 News update, I'm Amanda Guillen. New Mexico State University's first COVID-19 testing site is now open to everyone on campus. It comes as students and employees are now forced to get tested weekly if they don't get vaccinated. The company is called Curative. It has a contract with the New Mexico Department of Health, which pays for these tests to be distributed. John Webster, NMSU's COVID-19 project manager, foresees this testing site will swab thousands of unvaccinated students and employees every single week. Unvaccinated students and employees must submit their first weekly COVID test to NMSU's online portal by Thursday. Researchers are developing a vaccine that could combat a range of coronaviruses, including variants of COVID-19. According to the Wall Street Journal, the U.S. is pouring $95 million into the effort. That was your CBS 4 News update. I'm Amanda Guillen.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Watch out for abnormal congestion on Interstate 110 from the 54 to Juarez Port of Entry. Also, there's stop-and-go traffic on the 54 southbound between Montana Avenue and the 10. And there's an accident that could cause some delays on Mesa Street northbound at Wrestler Drive. I'm Marie Jourdain, and that's traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. So we do still have that chance for some showers and storms through the overnight into your very early morning. In fact, by the time most of us head out for our commute around 5, 6 in the morning, we should already be seeing our rain showers ending. However, we are going to see a chance for warmer temperatures instead as we get closer to the weekend with the return of winds.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Looking for a holiday job or seasonal work? It's time to get to know Express Employment Professionals. Visit ExpressPros.com to find your local office and let them help you find a job. No fees for job seekers. ExpressPros.com.
Princess of South Beach has all the ingredients of the perfect telenovela. A terrible accident, dark secrets, and of course, a nosy maid.
The job is 50% listening to conversations you're not supposed to, and 50% opening other people's mail, giving out advice nobody asked for, and vacuuming once in a while.
It's a telenovela like you've never heard it before. Listen to Princess of South Beach on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by Lincoln, the power of sanctuary.
Take control of your health and stay on top of the latest medical innovations by tuning in every Saturday at noon to Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandy Brow, board-certified vascular interventionalist, with healthcare hacks to help you navigate our complex medical system and insights on treatments for common medical problems weekly on News Radio 690 KTSM. Have a question for the doc? Submit them ahead of the show by emailing rao@medicalhackers.com. That's Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandy Brow, coming this Saturday at noon right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
TheTrustedLab.com carries CBD made in America with the highest quality products. Get your CBD from a Texas company at TheTrustedLab.com. Great alternative to addictive drugs, plus it's lab-tested clean CBD. It's what I use. TheTrustedLab.com.
Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m., it's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
This report is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
The most current and comprehensive. Just minutes away at the top and bottom of the hour. And always online at KTSMradio.com. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us in the many other social media platforms we go out to. I know, we're talking all about it, and then we're talking about all the places we're going to. Necessary evil / gotta go where the audience is. I mean, we are a media company at the end of it, so if we're just shouting out into the void and no one's listening, sound of one hand clapping, that kind of stuff here. So that's what we do and where we're at. So we are deploying as of today, given the issues that have happened recently. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on Twitter, we are on Twitch in order there. Facebook and on YouTube, the Talk El Paso channel, as well as on Twitch, Andrew J. Polk, also on Twitter, and Talk El Paso on Twitter. So a lot of ways you can still find us. And again, given the issues, the discussion, all that fun stuff been going on here, I don't think any of these are sparkling clean in anything they've done, but at the very least, some offer, well, better things than others. So that's why we are multi-platforming, both around how they handle things and some of that back-end stuff we've been talking about. But many things we've been talking about here today, including what's going on with some of these local school districts, one in particular, EPISD, on their reversal on the mask mandate by the vote happening last night, as well as a little bit on the redistricting. Want to make one more note there. So the state Senate map, that one's not going to see much impact in our area, but there's a lot of other fights and discussion going on for some of the other metros here in Texas. And so that's a fun fight, but it has been advanced by the Senate on the way to the House for consideration at last gasp. One of the reasons we've been trying to get on some of our state reps and senator here, but things have been busy on there, so we'll check in them when we can, because definitely an important part of the discussion. So expect that here in the coming days or so. But otherwise, we are at that point in the show when we do have the phone lines open. That number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Also got more of those comments on the page. And again, one of the new features about the system we're using is the ability to put some of them up on screen. Leroy Chuck saying, I mean, the Taliban is getting a seat at the UN. Why not Amazon? I think I don't even feel like this is controversial either, that I don't want either, for many and not entirely unrelated reasons. Never going to get an order from them again after this. But you know what? Screw it. Let's do this. Let's get into the comments here and the calls. Again, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Right now, we do have a Dave on the far east side. Dave, thanks for joining us.
No, I appreciate you taking the time. Just wanted to talk about the mandate.
Mm-hmm.
I personally took the vaccine. I volunteered. I took it on my own early in the late stages of the first wave of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And what worried me was when I later learned how Congress got exempt and others got exempt. That got me to think, what do they know that we don't know? Almost like it gets you to think. So I think that opened my eyes that it might be in plain sight. You know, they always say big pharma doesn't create cures, they create customers.
Mm-hmm.
I think the proof of that is when any drug that works comes up, they want to knock that thing out. They push it down, try to dismiss it. So that's kind of worrisome to me. So it's almost they want to keep us on a leash, keep us going to who knows where, till their pockets are overfilled. They're overfilled as it is, but that's just my take on that.
I mean, understandably so. I mean, there's certainly been some very notable bad actors in that sphere. The farmer bro, Martin Shkreli, I'm never going to say that one right. But he's a particular example of, particularly when something does work, then jacking up the price on it. I mean, exemption is a slight misnomer there because, I mean, it was an executive branch order. It literally cannot affect the other branches. That would be a whole other constitutional issue. But the optics, still not great. Absolutely agree with you on that there. That anytime Congress... it doesn't have to do something that the rest of us have to do. It raises more than a couple eyebrows, when at least as far as I'm concerned. I only got two, but I think it does for a lot of other people. So, I mean, I've got vaccinated too. I made the decision to, and I think that's the way it needs to come down, particularly is the individual decisions, because as soon as you're getting closer to blanket things, frankly, in any kind of phase, you're then going to miss the people who I mean, religious exemptions aside, that's this whole other discussion here, and don't think it's being handled well either. But there's going to be people who literally can't do it. And by saying that, well, automatically you're bad, I'm not exactly going to agree with the person making that determination then at that point, because you're literally not taking into considerations of people's literal physical needs. So that's where you lose me, is what I'll say. So,
Yeah, it sounds good. I just wish they would have told us that Congress was exempt from the get-go, and this would be a whole different ballgame.
yeah, again, there's a reason Congress has the popularity it does, which is, by the way,
I
not
understand
great.
the power that it comes down to. They dictate what they decide, laws, whatnot. I know they're trying to conserve what's best for the people of the U.S., but at the same time, this vaccine is so safe, they should have been the first ones to get it, not the ones exempt.
What I will say is they haven't exactly gone out of their way to make themselves in line with this, which is, again, its own issue, given that, I mean, sure, there are the political fights that we talk about, including the whole debt ceiling fight.
We know the history of vaccines being tested on
yeah,
so how does that look in their eyes?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
that's another whole
Okay,
show right
I
there.
gotta say, I appreciate the time.
Sure thing. No, thank you very much for that point and that call there. I mean, yeah, I think if they were truly going to try and solve this optic issue, declaring it for themselves, saying we will be in line with what the executive branch doing would be one thing. But they, again, haven't exactly bent over backwards for that now, have they? So, again, thank you, Dave, for that there. And, again, we are on multiple social media sites here. So we got more comments coming in from Michael Pattis, John Brazelton, Leroy Chuck, John Hurts, Maria Kalman, and more, if I missed anyone here. We got a lot because we're doing on many platforms now, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, maybe more to come in the future, but that's the main one right now. So getting to more of those calls here. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Right now we do have Barbara on the west side. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yesterday I did attend that EPISD board meeting.
Oh, good.
There was a lot of passion after it. I'm glad they voted the way they did, too, because the parents were correct. But I want to come with some issues here locally.
Mm-hmm.
We all remember when Mayorkas went to meet with Cuellar and the mayors and the county judges in the Rio Grande Valley, and the gentleman got on TV and they were excited. They made a difference. Mayorkas listened. Things were going to change. And then we have thousands upon thousands of Haitians taking camp underneath the interstate. So he didn't listen. He didn't comprehend anything. He just sat there. And what happened there doesn't stay there. Here we have unaccompanied minors still at Fort Bliss. We have Afghans. We have Haitians. Our hospitals are overwhelmed. They're treating diseases that they've never seen. COVID, tuberculosis are amongst those. And now they're reaching out to the CDC for help to see what it is exactly they're dealing with. And they don't have enough interpreters, as if it isn't enough, to help them diagnose these people. So now, and then today we heard 700 Afghans have just walked off the military bases, and 300 of them here in El Paso. Who knows where they went? So my question is, where's our congresswoman? Why hasn't she assured El Paso that the diseases are not a threat to our well-being, or Carranza for the matter, and that our safety isn't threatened by these Afghans walking off Fort Bliss? And where are the 12,000 unaccompanied minors that the Biden administration lost? Well, today I saw her on TV stand behind the squad supporting the $3.5 trillion bill. She should come to El Paso and explain to us how she's read the 2,550-page bill and she understands it. And then she can explain to us why the taxes for the wealthiest is only going up 2.6% and other taxes are going up upwards of 7%. And a great one she could explain is the unreal capital gains tax. That's a huge one. And the infrastructure bill has nothing to do with infrastructure. Or what does immigration have to do with infrastructure? There's so many questions that she should come and answer and reassure her constituents instead of standing up there on national TV. And here we are thinking, well, what's going on? I mean, that's part of being a representative, I would assume. I could be wrong. But those are the questions I was thinking she should be asked.
I mean, those would be important. I mean, those would be important ones here. So I get emails from everyone that we've had on the show because I sign up for them. I want to know what they're talking about. But I will say, kind of to your question, at least the way her promotions, her team is talking about it, pointing out that in September, led the charge to pass the Women's Health Protection Act, National Defense Authorization Act, introduce legislation, bolster American businesses, led a bicameral group of lawmakers to on the end of Remain in Mexico policy. So that's kind of the closest one here. Legislation to improve transparency, register people to vote. So that's the ones they're talking about, but not exactly the ones that you're bringing up there. Kind of, not really.
I know I've been on her website. She lists a lot of things, but
Yeah.
these hit home. These hit our children. These hit our schools. And personally, those who are going into the hospital, like I have a minor procedure going on in a couple of weeks. I want to know that I'm safe in the hospital. Are they quarantining them? Are they using the COVID units to quarantine these people? These are questions that the community needs to know, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that visits our healthcare system.
I would be positive that you're not there. And frankly, when it really comes down to it, we've seen that the Texas 23rd congressional representative, Tony Gonzalez, has definitely been very in front on this and dealing with this here. I would like to see more of that. I'm definitely going to agree with you there. So thank you for that point and that call. Appreciate it. All right, we got to take a break here right now, but coming back from the break, we'll try to squeeze in a few more here if we can. We got more calls on the line, get to one of those pound 50 calls as well, and more of the comments. So, back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back in a moment here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Another health issue, speaking about those going on this year, of course, it is October, and that means it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And a tool that you have available here in town is that of thermography. If you haven't heard about it before, think about mammography, but in a completely different kind of way. It is imaging and gramming things, but this one's kind of like a heat map for your body, and specifically therapeutics and thermography here in El Paso inside Biometrics, which is just west of Sunland Park. So on Sunland Park Drive of I-10. You can find them at elpasothermography.com. They're offering $50 off all breast thermograms for the month of October in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Definitely an important thing. You may have been starting to see all of those pink ribbons around. It's a serious issue, so take control of it. Get the resources, information you need. And again, FDA approved and fully medically reviewed results coming from your thermography. Again, therapeutics and thermography. Give them a call at 915-401-4053. That's 915-401-4053. Or find them online at elpasothermography.com. That's El Paso, TheRMOGRAPHY.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Watch out for some slow-moving traffic on the 10 westbound between Wrestler and Thorne Avenue. Also, there's a collision on Mesa Street northbound at Wrestler Drive. And look out for another accident that could cause some delays on Montana Avenue just west of Geronimo. I'm Marie Jourdain, and this is El Paso Traffic.
This report is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m. It's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Hey folks, this is Andrew J. Polk. These days, it's important to know where to go to get quality medical care and services when you need it. The go-to for my family is Dr. Alan Carpenter and his team at Upper Valley Urgent Care Center for any minor medical emergency. Equipped with 20 exam rooms and the tech to go with it, they're ready to handle colds and testing all the way to x-rays. Open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., fast and friendly with no appointment needed at 121 East Red Road. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this fall, Upper Valley Urgent Care Center.
Before buttons, things were much harder, like starting an outboard motor. Or even treating sleep apnea. If you've tried CPAP but struggle to get a good night's sleep, relief can be as easy as a button with Inspire.
Inspire is a sleep apnea treatment that works inside your body with just the click of a remote. No mask, no hose, just sleep. To learn more, visit inspiresleep.com. Inspire, sleep apnea innovation. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you and review important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Looking for a holiday job or seasonal work? It's time to get to know Express Employment Professionals. Visit expresspros.com to find your local office and let them help you find a job. No fees for job seekers. expresspros.com.
Imagine being denied an apartment because of housing discrimination.
It's so wrong. But who has the power to stop this?
You do. The law is on your side. If you've been discriminated against because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. File a complaint with HUD. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
Visit HUD.gov/fair housing. A public service message from HUD and the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Because you never hear this.
Hey, hon, I'm late.
Chris, I am so pleased you missed the beginning of our meeting.
Thanks for making me wait, Dad. I talked to a lot of strangers.
Check on your commute. Stay informed. Traffic and weather all day. Or you might never hear the end of it.
Well, you were late to our anniversary dinner that one time.
Yes, how could I forget?
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A bunch of ways to interact with the show. Again, we're doing it even more places online now, including both the iHeartRadio app and through KTSMradio.com. We're now on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So if you want to find the list there, I'll have put that up over on our Facebook page. Still kind of the main one, but given recent events, looking at having some diversity of opinions on possibilities there, as we kind of always do. So getting to that and more here. Trying to get squeezing a few more calls on the line. And of course, the pound 250 system, another way you can leave your message for us. Day or night, we're not always on the air, but we're always preparing for the next one here. So between now, if you want to leave your message for the next show, call pound 250, those 4 symbols on your phone. When prompted, say the keyword Talk El Paso. You can leave your message much like this.
This is Messiah Frankie. I want to know what kind of monumental mush that was from Barbara. She goes on with this long litany about how wonderful the Donnie Dotard doofus was relative to the stock market. He didn't do anything. Like any other president all the way back to Washington, the president of the United States has no control over the stock market. It operates almost independently. Oh, yeah, sure. There's certain economic, governmental policies that could impact, but for the most part, it operates independently. So don't be giving this Donnie Dotard doofus any kind of credit. And not to mention the fact I wouldn't give him anyway, a pasty-face-looking jerk with that stupid-looking yellow thing on top of his head. He's a disgusting human. Think about that.
If you want to leave your own message, pound 250 keyword Talk El Paso. This is why I got to say I much prefer looking at policies rather than the opinion of a person. I mean, if they've done something you don't like, sure, absolutely. But at the same time, like getting worked up about how a dude looks, like this ain't it. This ain't your political argument you think it is. All right, trying to squeeze in a few more here before the end of the show. Right now, we do have Tony on the west side here. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Hey, good afternoon. You're a class act, Andrew. Listen, I try not to call every day because, again, I believe in giving more and more people a chance. But
sure.
Frankie, this guy Frankie, man, I mean, if I don't call, there's so much fake news, I get a headache. Frankie, let me explain something to you. Yesterday you called and you said that there should be plenty of money for infrastructure, but you didn't want all that other pork. Let me tell you, my friend, it's your Democrats that put that pork in there, and that's mandatory from them because they need to pay back all the Democrat governors and mayors and Antifa, all those cities that were burnt down. Remember when Trump was president and you guys were burning the country down and so forth? It's a payback for that, and we're paying for that. So let me say that again. All that pork in there that you guys are trying to call infrastructure is to pay back the damage that Antifa Democrats did, okay? Number 2, now, Andrew, you're a great guy, and I hope I don't get censored for this, but you keep, every time I call you and I give you the overall theory of the Democrats and how they're trying to burn the country down for the sake of, quote-unquote, saving the earth, you keep asking me for evidence. Andrew, please remember that the definition of voter fraud is A, any voter ballot that's taken after the deadline, B, any voter ballot that doesn't have a signature, C, whenever you have more votes than you do registered voters. So there's plenty of evidence, Andrew. I don't know why you keep asking for evidence. I think your real concern is the amount of it, and I'll be emailing you the amount of it, like the Arizona audit just proved and everything. And in conclusion, I want people to understand, Barbara, listen to me. Barbara, you and other people, I love you guys, but you keep thinking that the liberal Democrats are logical and they're going to listen to the mistakes that Biden is making. That they're not even thinking that way. They've been taught that this country was ill-founded, that the earth needs to be saved, that America can no longer be strong. We can no longer have two-car garages and a boat and a motorcycle and an RV. Those days are over for the liberal Democrats. They don't want that to happen. They believe the pollution is beyond what it should be, that we've gone to the max of consumerism. We need to scale down. They think they're saving the earth. They think they're doing a good thing, and they're willing to burn this country down rather than to let Trump be elected and let us have a higher quality of life. That's the reality. That's where you need to put on your big pants and understand. And we're never going to have a fair election again, Mr. Andrew, until we deal with those irregularities that happened in the last election. I hate to tell you. God bless you. Listen off the air.
I mean, I don't disagree with you that things need to be dealt with if they're going wrong. But the point that we end up disagreeing with on you and I is, again, the scale of it. So I will welcome what you send me. I'll give it a look here. And again, that email is andrewpolk@iheartmedia.com. Welcome it there. Because it's one thing to say that, let's get rid of all of it. And then it's a scale versus issue. Because my understanding, to the point of the Arizona audit, was that, yes, some irregularities were found. And if that's where it ends for you, I'm not going to convince you of anything else. But it was on the order of hundreds here, and nowhere near the realm to change it. And that's kind of what I also question. What the heck are we doing talking about Texas? Do we think that he didn't, either the governor or the former president, lost Texas? Then what's the point of the audit there? Is it just to drum something up? Because, I mean, again, it's scale versus what we'll take to do it. Are we willing to go to the ends of the earth to do it and eliminating everything else and ignoring everything else? That's where my concerns start coming in. But, I mean, we're never going to censor anyone on this show unless you start running afoul of those policies that we have no control over, like FCC ones. But I digress here. I think we can time for one more quick one here. I think we're going to be able to squeeze it in. We do have Raul in the Northeast. Raul, we got about 30 seconds.
Hey, Andrew, that guy's a serial liar. The other day he said that inflation on some items went up 800%. That means whatever costs $1 costs $8 more is now $9. Then he said it was 500% again. Whatever is $1 now $5 more, it's $6. According to the research that I did, inflation from the beginning of the year through August was about 4.3%. So this guy is on another planet. As far as the budget, they don't have any problem spending $750 billion a year, but they have a problem spending $350 billion a year, which is what that $3.5 trillion over 10 years works out to. The Republicans are fiscal fake conservatives, just like they're fake Christians in supporting a diabolical, demonic guy like Donald Trump, who is the antithesis of what Jesus Christ taught.
All right, we'll have to leave it there for today. So thank you otherwise for the commentary and comments. We'll have to break that down on another day here. We'll do it again 4 to 5 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you to everyone who did tune in, talk with us, be a part of the show. You're the one who makes this happen here. Do it again 4 to 5 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. See you all tomorrow. As always, look twice for motorcycles and out on the road. Have a great evening, y'all. Now for your Medicare Moment with Eric with Advocate Health Advisors. Tell me a little bit more about Advocate Health Advisors.
So Advocate Health Advisors is veteran-owned and operated with over 16 years experience in our Medicare field. What we do is we assist Medicare-eligible veterans and their spouses with the understanding and coordination of their benefits through Medicare with their military benefits. This helps with potentially adding extra benefits to their already robust military benefits, most of the time at no additional cost.
And for more info, you can call Eric, your local advisor, wherever you're hearing this broadcast at 1-800-876-0214. That's 1-800-876-0214.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Watch out for abnormal congestion on Interstate 110 from the 54 to Juarez Port of Entry. Also, there's still stop-and-go traffic on the 54 southbound between Montana Avenue and the 10. Also, watch out for construction that has the roadway reduced to one lane on the Loop 375, both eastbound and westbound between Gateway Boulevard North and Tom Mays Park Access Road. I'm Marie Jourdain with traffic.
Take control of your health and stay on
News
top of
on
the
the
latest
hour
medical
and a
innovations
half.
by tuning in
Traffic
every
and
Saturday
weather.
at noon to
News
Medical
Radio
Hackers with Dr.
690
Sandy
is
Brow,
KTSM
board-certified
AM
vascular
FM.
interventionalist with healthcare hacks to help you navigate our complex medical system.
Hey, folks, it's Michael Berry. I'm 50 years old. And those of you who are 50
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. Senator Richard Blumenthal is calling on Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to testify before Congress. The Connecticut Democrat accused Zuckerberg of going sailing instead of taking responsibility. This comes after whistleblower Frances Haugen accused her former company of harming children, stoking division, and weakening democracy. Wall Street is back in the green as stocks staged a rebound. All three major indexes gained around 1% or more as tech stocks rallied after Monday's sell-off.